Sweet the whispers in your ear whenever Ember wanders near.
Okay, for those of you that have been with me for the last 2 years, you'll know there was a guy I watched once or twice on stream. I reacted to him called Tyler Bucket, and he does like an American reacts to blank. And one of them was like an American reacts to things that happen in Canada. And he was like, basically, yeah, he was like mind boggled about the fact that, debit card readers would be brought to the tables of diners at restaurants for them to pay. But they asked, like, do you want them? Where, like, his mind was blown by the fact that, waiters or waitresses would ask diners in Canada if they wanted the machine, i.e. the debit machine, if they were going to be paying by debit card. Which, by the way, I corrected, it's like nobody actually says that. They actually, the waiter just like asks, like, are you going to be paid by debit or credit? And that's it. So he actually kind of pissed me off a little bit with like the way he was talking about this, but I saw this and I thought, based on what we watched a couple days ago, I think you might like this because this is him reacting, an American reacting to Newfoundland English, Newfoundlandese. So it's an American reacting to Newfoundlandese. So I thought this could be fun, and I think after the last one, we could probably use something fun. So let's take a look, and you guys might actually get to hear more Newfoundlandese. Yes, bye. Oh, yes, bye. You're gonna get learned. You are absolutely gonna get learned, my son. So let's take a look and let's just watch him get mind boggled by some of the silliest things.
What's going on, everyone? I'm just a typical average American here today to react and learn about Newfoundland English. Apparently, people from Newfoundland Newfoundlanders have a very unique way of speaking that has come to my attention. Now, I think I am pronouncing this correct. I actually looked this up on Google to coach me how you pronounce Newfoundland.
Newfoundland.
Right. So Google says it's Newfoundland. I think before I was saying
Okay. It depends on where the island you're from. If you're from down the bay, it's Newfoundland. Yeah, if you're from down the bay, it's like, oh yes, bye, we hit Newfoundland. You actually get a little bit of the ant, like, oh yes, bye. Yes, you over here on Newfoundland. Like Liam, you hear at the end, Newfoundland. And then for like the townies, it would be Newfoundland. So townies would say Newfoundland. Baymen would kind of go Newfoundland. They would they would actually say the land part. Like, oh yes, here in Newfoundland. So again, it's the dialect. Are you a townie or are you a bayman? It'll be different.
Newfoundland, how it's spelled. Oh, you're from Newfoundland, and everyone was laughing at me or something.
That's the one thing that's correct. You don't say Newfoundland. It's Newfoundland or land, depending on what part of the island you're from.
And that American, can't even say Newfoundland. Well, joke's on you. I can now. So I can finally I can talk about this subject. I learned how to say it. But apparently there's a very, very interesting, dialect? Accent?
Yes.
I don't know what you call it.
Dialect.
But it's a Newfoundland English. It has its own Wikipedia page when you look this stuff up. I never realized. I guess I figured, okay, Canada, it has Quebec. That's pretty unique as a province. It's doing the whole French thing, has its own way of speaking, and I thought, okay, that's probably one of the most unique places in terms of language. Then I discover Newfoundland, that it also has a very, very unique way of speaking English. As a matter of fact, that is quite different than the rest of Canada. I honestly had no idea. I had no idea. So if we look at this a little bit here, Newfoundland English is a term referring to any of the several accents and dialects of Atlantic Canadian English. Atlantic Canadian English, okay. That's apparently a thing. Class of Canadian English dialect. Huh, interesting. Found in Newfoundland and Labrador. Most of
Correct.
these differ substantially from the English commonly spoken elsewhere in Canada and North America. Yeah, Canadians and Americans already talk, noticeably kind of different. And now there's this.
Well, okay. I will slightly disagree with that. Like the majority of Americans do speak differently, but if you get into the northern states like North Dakota, and I'm trying to think what other northern state kind of has the accent, but like predominantly like North Dakota is they actually have the accent of North Dakotans, which you saw Minnesota, like maybe northern Minnesota. Like this was highlighted in Fargo, is that Fargo, North Dakota, Wisconsin kind of not as substantially Wisconsin, but to a degree, yes, is that like they sound kind of Canadian. Like northern Minnesota, North Dakota, they have that accent. They kind of sound Canadian, eh? They don't do the A. They don't do the A part, but if you watch Fargo, you listen to their accents, you would think it sounds Canadian. And so to that degree, like those northern central states do sound kind of Canadian. They do kind of have that. I don't want to classify it as Canadian-esque because it's their own thing, but the accents of the northern centralized states do sound very similar to what would be considered the typical Canadian accent.
This, where it's like ramping it up even further. I'm not even sure, but I have a video I'm about to pull up that's going to give plenty of examples and interviews of people talking and trying to discern exactly what's going on here with this version of Newfoundland English. It developed because of Newfoundland's history and geography. Okay. Well, I won't go into too much detail there. I have this little video. Newfoundland English Explained. How to speak Newfoundlandese? Do people say that? Do Canadians say that?
Kinda.
Newfoundlandese? Is that like a joke or something, or is that?
It's kind of more. It's honestly not like new. Like I like back when this video, because this video was probably back from like late 80s, early 90s. I'm guessing based on what I'm seeing in the background here. But it's like you don't say it's like Newfoundlandese. It's more of like towny or bay. Is like it's the Newfoundland accent that sounds either towny, which is the more clear. It's like far more understandable with a slight accent to it, versus bay, which you guys know about.
Serious. Anyway, the dialect of people who talk in Newfoundland, let's say. So, without any further ado, let's see what's going on in Newfoundland.
Yeah, I was talking to the RCMP this morning. Nobody ever told of it. I talked to the DFO
Yep.
last night, and all the miners, if anybody throw rocks at it, they'll press charges on it.
This
Yep.
I don't know how to categorize that accent.
For those of you that are not aware, it's based in Irish. Because again, the island of Newfoundland was settled by the Irish. So Newfoundland has its roots in Irish culture. That's why you get Irish people that listen to people from Newfoundland and they go, it sounds just like home.
That doesn't sound like any Canadian accent I've ever heard. I would have assumed this man was from Europe.
Yes,
or
Nova
something.
Scotia is like Atlantic Canada writ large is kind of Celtic in nature. It is. Like, you got Newfoundland's got the Irish, Nova Scotia is the Scots. New Brunswick is sort of a mix of, like, Scot and French. New Brunswick kind of has that mix. And PEI is... I'd say PEI, maybe a blend of Scot and Irish. It's tough to really pin down. But yeah, like, Newfoundland, definitely Irish. Nova Scotia, definitely Scottish.
Like the UK, maybe.
is Newfoundland English, commonly known as Newfoundlandese. and is spoken here in the island of Newfoundland just off the coast of North America.
Actually, since he's playing this video, let me move. And actually, what I'll do is I'll rewind it so you can see what was said in that video. There we go.
Let's see what's going on in Newfoundland.
Yeah, I was talking to the RCMP this morning. Nobody ever told of it. I talked to the DFO there last night, and all the miners, if anybody throw rocks at it, they'll press charges on it.
This
And by the way, what he was referring to there, it sounds like that was a fisherman. Chances are he was talking about, like, with the DFO would be I think DFO is, if I'm remembering correctly, Department of Fisheries and Oceans. So it sounds like that guy's probably a fisherman. Somebody was probably throwing rocks at his boat, questioning whether or not the rocks damaged boats, and he was talking to the RCMP, RCMP, Royal Canadian Mounted Police, to see about damages to the boat. And if there was damage to the boat, they'd look at seeing pressure. So probably some kids fucking around on the wharf. You probably had some. He probably had some youngsters fucking around over on the docks one night, just acting like a bunch of retards. And they were throwing rocks at the boat, and the boat could have been damaged. If the boat be damaged, then when it's out on the waters, and they're doing their fishing, they're getting a catch, it could damage the boat, and the boat could sink, and then you could lose a bunch of people. And that you don't want to be happening by. So you gotta nip that shit in the bud right away there. And so that's all. He was talking to the RCMP and talking to DFO. DFO said, DFO was like, okay, we'll talk to RCMP. You do that, and we'll deal with it if it comes down to it. If it need to be done, if it need to be done, it go and get done.
island of Newfoundland just off the coast of North America.
Okay.
It's home to around 500,000 people, and it's known for its rich history of fishing and its very distinctive culture in comparison to
Anybody that's either not from the UK, because I'm guessing people from the UK will recognize this. Okay? UK strays. Tell me if you don't recognize this immediately. Because this is a tradition I think that may have originated in the UK, and it migrated to Newfoundland. These are mummers. It is a Christmas tradition. It's kind of like it's basically, think of Irish version of carolers. Every Christmas, the mummers would come around to the houses, and you'd it's a Christmas tradition. You'd give them like Christmas treats or something like that. And English mummers maybe don't look like this, but it's where their tradition originated from. And like they would come to houses Christmas Eve. I can't remember if they'd actually sing carols or something, and you give them Christmas Eve treats or something like that. They would just go house to house. It's a festive and fun thing. That's who these are. These are the mummers.
the rest of Canada.
Yeah, the figgy
pudding.
pudding.
What on earth is going on here? So Newfoundland geographically is kind of off on its own corner in a way in Canada. It's one of the maritime provinces, has a big fishing and boating history.
Correct.
Including and especially its variation of English.
Okay.
Simple. What are you at? What are you at?
Yeah.
What are you at right now?
This
What
is
are you
it.
at by?
This is it.
All right, what are you
And
at?
If you were building a house, you also might respond, nutting.
Yep.
What?
He's not wrong.
I do not know what just...
He's not wrong. Someone chose to be honest. What are you up? What are you up by? You're out there just fucking nailing down a freaking fence post with a manual post pounder, just working your ass off, sweating like crazy. Your neighbor comes up. What are you at by? You look over. None. None by. What you up to? Where? None by. Where you at? Or. This is it by. This is it. And just the. That's a Newfie. That's how Newfies do.
This happened? I think a Newfoundland conversation was happening here. Interesting.
This guy.
And you can be.
Today, Newfoundland and Labrador is part of Canada, but Newfoundland didn't join Canada until 1949.
Wow!
Yeah. Yep.
Newfoundland didn't join Canada till 80 years ago. 80! That's it. People are alive before Newfoundland was part of Canada. I
That's
had
correct.
no idea that was a thing.
Mhm.
Okay.
Before then, it was a British Dominion, and as a result, today has a culture that is a kind of mix between Canada and the British Isles.
Oh my gosh, that makes so much sense.
Canada originated as a British colony as well. The entire country of fucking Canada was a colony of Britain. That's why there's an attachment to the Queen. That's why the version of English, the written version of English is British English versus like Americanized English, is because it started off as a British colony, just like America, only it stayed a part of the crown for much longer.
That explains so much right there. Oh, that's it. That's why. It's part of what, like the British Dominion or British Empire, whatever terminology he was saying.
Yes, and the British fought with the French over it, namely Quebec.
For a long time, up until pretty recently, 80 years ago, then became part of Canada. That explains why the accent I heard already sounds a little British or Irish or...
Correct. Yeah, it's why all the legalese in Canada has references to the crown. It's why land that is not owned by people is referred to as crown land. It's why for Canada's Navy, why their ships are called the HMS, Her Majesty's Service. Like Canada still has a significant amount of roots in UK tradition, culture, and history.
Yeah, and it's also
or
mixed with,
HMCS,
like
yeah.
a Canadian dialect as well. I like this.
This also left a lot of linguistic artifacts in Newfoundland English. And that doesn't just mean an accent. See, an accent is just a difference in pronunciation.
Right.
It's the difference between accent and accent. But dialects are a lot more complex. A dialect is a difference in the actual grammar and structure of a language. These can be broken down into two main categories. First, are standardized dialects. This means that the dialect is accepted and used in professional and formal settings, and especially in official institutions. An American president would have no problem saying the word elevator during a speech.
Huh. So,
by the way, fun fact for those of you who don't know, the dialect in ancient Great Britain during like the medieval era was actually more akin to current American dialect than modern day UK dialect. The modern UK dialect only developed over the last, I'm going to say I could be wrong about this, so don't quote me on it, like 300 years, I think, is when the modern version of British dialect was really developed. Prior to that, during ancient times, it actually sounded Americanized. It actually sounded American and not what you would hear coming from someone from the UK today. Fun fact.
are we saying that people who live in Newfoundland have a entirely different dialect? It goes beyond just an accent. It's a dialect, which means some of the words are different, and the sentence structures can be different. That's fascinating. It's a lot. Newfoundland, in regard to the way they talk, sounds much more unique, much more different from the rest of Canada than I even thought going into this.
So getting on an elevator and a woman clutching her purse nervously.
And a British Prime Minister would do the same with the word lift, even though they are dialectical differences. Then we have non-standardized dialects. These are dialects that aren't represented in institutional settings like schools, and usually aren't used in professional or formal settings.
Okay.
This is the category Newfoundland English falls into. And
What? I don't know if I really understand this or agree with it. I don't know if this is an opinion thing, but it's like, if you live in Newfoundland and you talk a certain way, like, you could still get a job in, like, say, the Canadian government or some kind of fancy position and talk that way. Like, just because you talk a certain way or with a certain accent, certain dialect, shouldn't mean that it's, like, considered not formal, unprofessional. Oh,
And he's correct about this. He absolutely is, because you will see if you go to Newfoundland, there are plenty of people in formal, quote, formal and professional settings that have not like deep Bay accents, but they absolutely do have those idiosyncrasies that come from being a Newfoundlander. where, like again, it's not going to be as extreme as like when I go full Newfie or the video we saw the other day of the two baymen in the bar. It won't be as extreme. It would be a lighter variant of that. And you'll see them in government, you'll see them in medicine, you'll see them in legal, various professional settings. So he's absolutely right about that this whole thing of it's not used in formal professional settings is not correct.
How you talk is unprofessional. I don't really like that idea. It's just like, it's where you grew up. That's your culture. That's how you talk. Like, it is what it is. There's nothing bad about that.
A big reason it's considered unprofessional is because we're often quick to dismiss smaller dialects as just plain gibberish. Even those of us who speak them often don't think too deeply about it, but there are actually very real rules, and they aren't just ignoring grammar.
Yeah, I mean, I say all that, but to be honest, this exists in the United States as well.
Yep.
With like Southern accents, country accents.
And Jeff Foxworthy, I remember hearing a joke Jeff Foxworthy made, I think he made this joke like a long time ago about the Southern accent, where he was basically joking about how like the Southern accent doesn't sound smart. And can you imagine your doctor coming up to you? He's like, now what we gonna do here is we gonna just cut you right down open, split you right down the middle. We're gonna go in there and get rid of that annoying little pancreas you got there. And we're just gonna rip it right out of you and go put it in the pan. That's kind of the angle that we're looking at here. It's, there is like a social mindset that unless you are speaking quote unquote proper English, you don't sound professional. You're offended. You remember that joke? Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people probably remember that joke. But that's kind of the thought process of if you don't speak, for lack of a better term, the King's English, you're not viewed as being an intellectual person. And it's one of the pitfalls of, doing the whole judging by its cover, judging a person by how they talk. They can be a very intelligent person, but if they grew up learning grew up in a particular dialect, and that particular dialect is part of their communicative ability, then it doesn't your preconceived notions are getting an improper view of the intellect of the person. Even with ghetto. Even like how people that are ghetto, the way that they talk ghetto. And it's that same exact preconceived notions of someone that talks ghetto, you automatically basically deduct 50 IQ points from them. Not 100% the case. There have been instances in the past where people that do have that Ebonics or the ghetto dialect that are actually that are intellectual individuals, they are smart individuals. But again, it's the preconceived notion for a reason, because the people with these dialects that are able to, that are smart individuals, they're very learned individuals, well educated, know what they're doing, are more of the exception versus the norm. It's the whole concept of stereotypes exist for a reason. And the same thing applies with dialects. If when you're predominantly encountering people that are using a particular dialect or a methodology of speaking, and they are dual writing idiots, the preconceived notion will be, okay, people that speak in this way are unintelligent individuals, and you have the stereotype, you have the preconceived notion. These things don't exist for a reason, but there are outliers. There are.
In the United States, people are definitely quick to make assumptions about Americans if they have a really thick country accent, Southern accent. Yeah. So is that kind of similar to how Newfoundland accent is interpreted? Is that fair to say, or am I off here?
Depends on where you're from.
The word "at" roughly means doing. So the full sentence means, what are you doing?
What are you at? I love this. What are you at? That's so
what are you at by?
rolls right off the tongue. It's kind of nice.
Okay. I have one problem with this video as he's watching is he's missing a very crucial antonym on it. You always have to add in a by. So it's like, what do you have by? Yeah, that's always like, by is, Newfoundland saying by is basically kind of like ghetto people using the N-word. That's like, in terms of like the extensive use of it, it's about the same level of use. You know, people like the ghettos, you know, people doing ghetto talk and they use the N-word all the time. It's the same thing with how often Newfoundlanders use by. No, it's not a slur. No, it is decisively not a slur. I'm just talking about the amount of usage it gets. Is there a girl version of bi? Yes, bi. It's bi. Bi is gender neutral. Bi is 100% a gender neutral. Now, you may have like where you at, my darling? Now that can also be gender neutral. Mate, there you go. What are you at, mate? Mate, like for a Newfoundland dialect word that would be decisively feminine in nature would be maid. So like Newfoundlanders might call Newfoundlanders would refer to women as maids, as maid somewhat frequently. But like bi that's completely gender neutral, and bi is by far the most commonly used word in like communicative word when talking to someone. So it's like, yeah, that's why, like, anytime I go full Newfie, you'll hear me say bye. You'll hear me say bye a lot because it's used very frequently. Like, all the frickin' time like, every other sentence is you're using bye. Yeah, if I was talking to a woman, it's like, oh, where you at, mate? Oh, mate, what you cooking at? What, darling, yes. Oh, yes, my darling. Where yeah, what, are you going to be cooking up some shepherd's pie? Oh, yes, mate, that sounds delicious. Oh, yes. So, yeah.
This use of the word at is actually present in many Irish accents.
Irish!
Yes. Now we're getting somewhere.
I can't give him advice. He knows what he's at.
It is related to the Irish accent, it would appear.
Another thing Irish English and Newfoundland English have in common is...
See, now this is part of this video that I have a problem with, is he did not highlight the fact that Newfoundland was originally settled by the Irish. That's why the Irish dialect is so prevalent. It's why the Irish accent is so prevalent, because it was an Irish colony.
Dropping the TH sounds in words. Mother becomes mutter, this becomes this. But
wow, this is really similar to an Irish accent. Wow.
Yes, you don't use the TH very often.
I would never have guessed.
Newfoundland English is more than just Canadian English with some Irish and British quirks. Okay. It's its own beast. Okay. It has its own individual vocab and even set in structure and grammar. Wow. Easily the most...
I tell you, let me tell you, my son, there is even a Newfoundland dictionary. Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir. There is an actual Newfoundland dictionary for you to look up all of the craziness that you don't be understanding. It's almost required reading if you're going to be coming down to the rock and you said a fucking word that anybody's saying, you got to bust up that dictionary, my son. Absolutely.
Essential word in Newfoundland English is bi, which is a contraction of boy.
Bi.
This can be used pretty much like dude or man. And
No bi. It's gender neutral. They literally call everyone bi. It's gender fucking neutral.
Bi. Contraction of boy. Hey, bi.
It's going gender neutral. Bi.
That's weird to say. I've never heard anything like that. This is very, very unique. I am enjoying how unique this is.
You'll hear it all the time. He's weird, man.
Yes, bi.
He's weird, bi. This word is actually also currently undergoing a pronunciation change among younger speakers who are starting to favor the pronunciation ba. Probably the most...
Ba. Oh, man, that's so...
No. God doesn't ruin that. When I was still on the rock, I did not hear people saying it ba. No, sir. No, I didn't. No, it was still bi. It was 100% still bi. I don't know where this guy. I don't know where this youngster be talking about. Oh, it's been changing to ba. No, it hasn't. No, it is 100% still bi. 100%.
Funny how this is even changing right now. Like in the current
There is one other one. I don't typically do this on stream because you will never hear it. And I don't know if it's going to be said in this video, but there's also one where when someone says, yeah, they say it in Newfoundland, they say it in a weird way. It's probably not going to come through on stream, but they go, yeah. And that probably just sounds like a hiccup. It's like, instead of saying yeah, they kind of go, yeah, but they do it on an inhale. So instead of exhaling and saying yeah, they say yeah, but on an inhale. So it's like, yeah. And like I said, you're not, like, I'll try and get close to the mic. Like, yeah. I don't know how well that came through, but it's basically, yeah, but it's being spoken with an inhalation of breath versus an exhalation of breath. That is also another very common thing that you will hear on the Rock.
Modern day, language is always changing. Even the Newfoundland accent and pronunciations are changing, where younger Newfoundlanders want to say ba instead of bye, which is instead of boy, which is instead of dude.
They don't.
I think I get it.
An interesting word, though, is la. Used in a sentence, it would look like this. Where's the car? Over there, la. So it's basically used to bring attention to a specific location or thing.
It's basically la is look. That's what it is. Hello. Hello, my darling. Welcome in, Maria. How are you? How was your stream? Did you have a good stream, my darling? I am teaching chat about how to speak like a Newfoundlander. Oh yes, bye. We are learning. My chat's gonna be learned about how to speak like a Newfoundlander. So if you wanna understand at least a little bit what the fuck I be saying when I go full Newfie, you might wanna be sticking around and learn something by. Oh yes, sir. Yes, sir. You're gonna wanna be learning on this one because it is a whole different thing, my son. Yes, it is. And if you don't understand what the fuck I be saying, then I understand you're gonna be getting all blazing with me, and you're gonna be saying, "What the fuck is this crazy maid talking about here?" So maybe you want to be sticking around and me listening to a few things. Like we're listening about how you say, and you're replacing look with la. It's over there, la. So yes, my dear, yes, my darling, I hope you had a wonderful stream. Well, you sent me some drawings. Is it something that I should be putting up on stream? Maria, that's so cute. Oh, that is so cute. I love it. I love it. He played Guilty as Sock. I've never heard of that before. I have never heard of that before. I may have to look into that. I may indeed have to look into that. That could be interesting. Okay. Well, let's go back in and see if we can't. It's a court case game. Ah, okay. Look into it. So yes, let us continue learning about how to be speaking. Like a lot of this stuff is like bay, like all this stuff like over there la, and bye and stuff like that. A lot of this is like bayman, versus townie. But let's see if we can get you some learning on how to be speaking like a bayman.
A common misconception.
What is this at all like the Canadian use of a? Like it's over there, eh? You could be like, it's over there, la. I think there's some similarities between la and a. I don't know. That's my knee-jerk reaction.
Exception is that it's short for
kinda,
look,
sorta.
but it actually more likely has its roots in the word low, as in lo and behold. But Newfoundland English is also more than just funny words. There are actually rules as far as sentence structure and grammar go.
Wow.
The biggest and most basic example of how Newfoundland English deviates from other dialects is this. If you've ever taken a second language
Maria,
class,
have a wonderful
this
night.
will give you nightmares.
Oh my gosh, I didn't.
And Samson, thank you for the raid over on Kick as well. God, 2 raids. Thank you for the raid, Samson. I hope you had a wonderful stream. Welcome in. We are learning about Newfoundlandese, about the language or the dialect of the Newfoundlander. So if you would like, please join us in learning how to understand me when I go full Newfie.
If you've ever taken a second language class, this will give you nightmares.
Oh my gosh, I didn't. Like, this is literally becoming like a language, like, course. Like, this is
I
much
mean, my
more in
son,
depth
you
than
got
I ever
this is nothing.
imagined.
This is
It's
nothing
almost like
thereby.
you could study how people from Newfoundland talk, like the
Goodness, thank you, anonymous gifter, for the 10 gifted subs. Thank you so very much.
language has that many differences. I never imagined.
It's a conjugation chart, specifically for the present tense.
Holy crap! Samson, thank you for rating me over on Twitch as well. Oh my god, 3 freaking raids in 5 minutes. Thank you so very much, Samson. Thank you very, very much. Welcome in, Sishies, over on the Twitch side. Hello. As I was saying before, we're learning how to... I'm teaching you guys how to speak like a Newfoundlander. So won't you please join us?
Many differences. I never imagined.
It's a conjugation chart, specifically for the present tense in Standard English. In Standard English, you basically just say the base form of the verb for everything except he or she, where the verb takes an S at the end.
Okay.
In Newfoundland English, we would just put an S at the end of all of them. I like so simple it is.
Yep. This is a habit that I never really developed from being over Newfoundland. Shadow, thank you for 25 gifteds. Thank you so very much for 25 gifteds. Holy crap. Holy shit, bye. Thank you so very much. And Shadow, thank you for the tier 1 also. Oh my god, thank you. Thank you very, very much. Oh my god. Okay, as I was saying before, I nearly had a heart attack. This one about adding the S to like, where you basically, you said, like, I likes it. Like, I likes to be going on stream now, bye. That's a habit that I never really developed when I was over in Newfoundland. I never developed the habit of saying likes for everything. I maintain the, like, well, obviously, like, L-I-K-E, when appropriate, or if it's a plural, or if it's a plural participle or something, I would say likes. But like in Newfoundland, they literally say likes for every context, regardless of the preceding pronoun. It's a very common thing. I likes you. I likes, we likes, you likes, use likes. They'll say use. She's likes. She likes. He likes. They likes. It's very, very common. Yes, Newfoundland. Yes, indeed. The Rock.
Wow, that just changes everything. It's such a small difference. Changes everything. Yeah, that's.
You say like sometimes? Newfoundlanders say it all the time. It is a standard part of the dialect to say likes for everything.
It's not an accent change. That's a whole different dialect. That's a good example. You likes to eat poutine, right? Like, it makes... Yeah.
It's fine.
Okay, I get it. And I get how... That's so jarringly different. I get how people would immediately... Probably Canadians would be like, okay, you're from Newfoundland. Like, instantly recognizable.
The accent
Another
alone
quirk of Newfoundland
triggers
English is
they know
that the
from
past participle
Newfoundland.
is the same as the simple past tense. And what that means is that instead of saying, have you written the letter, we would just say, have you wrote the letter? But there...
Have you wrote the letter? Like, even the past tense and plural
it's much more simplified.
Words are used differently. I keep saying this, but I'm astonished at how different this is. Like, this is just a province in Canada that is doing totally their own thing.
There is another, even more interesting way to describe the past tense in Newfoundland English, and that is using the word after. I'm after writing the letter. What this refers to is that the present moment is after the event of you writing the letter.
So what he's referring to here, this is very Bay. This is what you would hear coming from a Bayman versus a townie. A townie would use more appropriate past participles in this, where they would say, I wrote the letter. That's what, they'd have the accent, but they would actually use a more proper form of English. This, I'm after writing the letter. Or even like, I'm after writing the letter. Like where they would say, instead of the, it's D. I'm after writing the letter. that is something that would come from a bayman versus a townie. While you have the Newfoundland dialect, there's also different dialects depending upon where you're located within Newfoundland. If it's, if you're in, basically with a townie, it's obviously by the name, if you are in a populous area. So essentially speaking, and thank you for the 5 gifted Griffin Knight. Thank you very much. So essentially speaking, with Newfoundland, there is probably, let me think here, 1, 2, it's like 3 or 4. There's like 3 or 4 proper significant city sites. You got Corner Brook on the west coast. You've got Great Falls, Windsor / Gander in central, and then you've got St. John's, Paradise, and not Mariah. I almost forgot the town. So you got like St. John's, Paradise, Mount Mariah on the East Coast. Those are like the 4 or 5 proper cities of Newfoundland. Yeah, well, CBS is more west. It's kind you know what? I'll agree. CBS, Conception Bay South is, I'll agree. That kind of would qualify as a proper cityscape. It like similar to St. John's. It's close enough to St. John's that Conception Bay would probably be considered a proper cityscape. So I'll give you that. So there's only a few proper cities in Newfoundland that there are like townies, and they have the accent, they have some of the idiosyncrasies of speaking like a Newfie, but for the most part they speak proper English and you can understand them without issue. Just about everywhere else on the island is Bay. So north up towards Labrador, south down by God, it's been a while. I'm trying to remember these cities. Oh God, what is it? I am. Oh my God, I'm blanking on the city. I'm blanking on the port. Oh fuck, what's the port down? What's the port on the south side? Oh my God, no. Port Basque. That's what it's got. I can't believe I forgot that. It went right on my head. No, Port aux Basques. Port aux Basques being southwest, which is like the gateway to one of the gateways to mainland Canada, and then you've got like Hawke's Bay. You've got It's been so long. I haven't talked about these cities. I didn't talk about these cities much even when I was there, so it's like I forget. But Marystown on like Central South. Basically everywhere outside of these like 5 or so major cityscape hubs is they talk like the Baymen. They where it's like they can be talking fast, and they have that very heavy Newfoundland accent. Oh, you grew up in Helena, West Helena? Okay. So yeah, that's like what basically all of the Newfoundlandese that is being addressed here on screen is typically outside of the major cities of Newfoundland. That's something to keep in mind here. Is the Newfoundlandese is essentially the Bay Newfoundlandese.
This also comes from Irish English. Here's the thing, though. If you talk to a Newfoundlander, you're not necessarily guaranteed to hear all this. People who grow up speaking Newfoundland English are usually extremely talented at varying the amount of Newfoundland English.
Yes. So basically, he highlighted he's giving credence to more, but you've got like Corner Brook, Deer Lake here on the west side. You've got where is it? Gander, and you've got Gander here in the middle, which also you got Grand Falls, Windsor right there, and then you got like St. John's, Mount Pearl, Conception Bay, Placentia, all those or Paradise. Sorry, not Placentia, Paradise over here on the west coast. So like here, and here would be considered the major cityscapes of Newfoundland.
That slips into their speech.
What? Wow. Maybe it's because they're like worried about, okay, if I go into other parts of Canada, I don't want to sound a certain way. It's kind of sad, honestly.
No, it has nothing to do with that. It's just when, it's again, it's the major cities. And so by natural course, when you have major cities, it's more, it's more built up, there's more industry, and it's more proper. And so people just develop they develop the towny dialect simply because of industry, effectively speaking, I would say.
But impressive. A lot of people from Newfoundland have the ability to shift between how much of a Newfoundlander they sound like.
No, they don't choose to. That's no, he's incorrect about that. It's not so much choosing to, it's where you done been raised. That's what matters. Because you could have someone that's raised down the bay, or you can have someone raised at the outport, and they can go into the city and they'll still maintain their dialect. Now, will it change over the course of time? Sure, but it's not a conscious change. It's kind of like, say you have someone from the Deep South. Okay, you have someone from the Deep South, they are hillbilly. Okay, they've got that thick hillbilly accent, and say they move to New York. I just for the sake of example, you get someone from Deep South, they move to New York. Initially, they're going to retain that deep Southern accent, but as over time, when they're with an environment that doesn't maintain that doesn't have that accent, their own accent will shift into, will shift and change and adapt to their environment. So it's more of an environmental shift versus a conscious change. Because you hear about so many people that they say, oh yeah, I was born and raised in Kentucky. And they're actually in California, and they don't sound hillbilly, they don't sound Southern, they sound Californian because they've spent so much time in, say, California, that their accent kind of fades away because of the environment that they've been surrounded by for years. So yeah, the accent will keep and it will morph or even fade. Yeah, we saw it with Mel Gibson. His Australian accent faded and became much more Americanized when he got into Hollywood. Like nowadays, if you listen to Mel Gibson talk, he doesn't talk with an Australian accent anymore. Because he's, most of the, for Mel Gibson, it's more of the most of the roles he's played have required an American accent. So that's kind of more, I think, muscle memory. I think, who was it? There was a British actor. I'm trying to remember who was it that played, I'm forgetting his name. He played Commissioner Gordon in Nolan's Batman series. Blanking on his name. Crap. What is his name? Gary Oldman. Thank you. Fuck, I blinked on his name. Gary Oldman apparently, did an American accent in roles so frequently, he actually needed help from a voice coach to regain his British accent because he had taken so many roles using an American accent. There was another actor in like an Elvis and completely lost it, and he needed help from a voice acting coach to regain it back again. There was another actor, at this point I don't even remember, I don't even know what his name is. The Elvis biopic that came out like 3 or 4 years ago, and you had this actor who was taking on the role of Elvis, and he like entrenched himself in the Elvis accent, the Southern Elvis accent and manner of speaking, that when he was finished with the role, he was stuck talking like Elvis. He couldn't return. Was his name Austin Butler? Okay, I wasn't sure what his name was. Yeah, he was stuck in the Elvis accent and speech patterns and speech stylings, and he could not return to his regular voice after that role. So it's like you see these, like when it comes to going back to the Newfoundland accent, the accent is derived from where you were raised. So if you were raised in one of the cities in Newfoundland, you would have like perhaps the accent and maybe a few idiosyncrasies of your speech, but it would not be full on Bay Newfoundlandese, like if someone was in, that if you lived outside of the cities at like, at one of the outports or down the bay or across the bay or whatever, you would not have that type of accent or speech idiosyncrasy to it. And it's not like it's not a conscious change. Newfoundlanders Newfoundlanders who leave the island and go somewhere else can lose their accents because they're surrounded by non-Newfoundland accents. I've known people who are born and raised in Newfoundland, born and raised like down in shall we say down the bay or out or across the bay or out the bay, that their families was Amen Newfoundland accents, the kind where I've told you, like, if you don't know if you've never been there before, you'll understand 1 out of maybe 5 or 10 words. They left the island to go to the mainland for like schooling and for work before returning back to the island, and they have completely lost their accent. They don't have a Newfoundland accent anymore. So it is not a conscious shift of accent for Newfoundlanders that leave the island. It's just environment basically results in a change of it.
Operate on a gradient from very thick dialectical speech to standard English.
What? So if a bunch of Newfoundlanders get together and don't want to be understood, they can just ramp it up to 100 out of 100, and just talk in Newfoundlandese or whatever.
They won't just ramp it up. They'll just talk. This is not like we don't want to be understood. This is just, it's a bunch of fucking baymen talking and just going, what are you doing there, boy? And they just like, it's just them talking. There's nothing like we don't want to be understood. It's like, no, this is just how they fucking talk.
Whatever this video called it. And no one will understand what they're saying. It's kind of cool. It's kind of like a superpower, or, like speaking another language, basically.
The Newfoundland dialect also tends to be thicker in more rural areas. This isn't because Newfoundland English isn't correct. It's just that these groups tend to be less likely to need to speak with people who may not know the dialect.
I'm trying to see if I can tell where these places are. I'm gonna hazard, because these are lobster traps right here. That's lobster traps. I'm trying to see, where is this? I'm thinking this could be northern. Could this be, I think this might be up in Trinity Bay. I think this might be central north. So this, I have a suspicion this might be up like in the Trinity Bay area. Yeah, so this area looks like it's, central north. I don't think it's Bombay. No, I don't believe it's Bombay. I'm thinking Trinity. At a rough guess, I'm thinking it's Trinity.
It's important to realize.
Wow, I mean, I have to say, this dialect seems more extreme than even the Southern American dialect. Like, hey there, sweetie, how's it going? Like,
The previous pick, hang on, let me dial it back. Hang on.
Isn't because
I don't know if that's Bombay or not. I've been to Bombay like once or twice. I don't think so. I could be wrong. It's been a while since I've been up there. I don't think so. I think this might still be part of Trinity. It's hard to tell. But I think all of these pictures might be Trinity.
Seems more extreme than even the Southern
American
familiar. Dialect. Like,
it's hard
hey
to place
there,
them,
sweetie, how's it going? Like,
you just looked it up. That is Trinity Bay. Okay, I was right. So it's Trinity Bay. That's what I thought. Okay, I was right. Haha. Someone in Twitch just looked it up. It's Trinity.
You cannot. There's nothing about that you cannot understand. It's just like maybe it's the American in me. Like, I'm just so used to having heard it that it sounds so simple. Do Canadians have trouble understanding Newfoundlanders sometimes,
yes.
or is it very, very
yes.
clear? Like how I can clearly understand Southerners.
No, they have trouble understanding the Baymen. The mainland Canadians frequently have trouble if you get a payment that just starts rolling.
In America? That's a question I would wonder about.
Realize that just like English is our first language, Newfoundland English can be considered our first dialect. And sometimes it's hard to articulate ourselves in a foreign dialect, and there just aren't always going to be exact translations. One thing I personally struggle with is a very specific verb form, the word bees. Bees is used to describe an action that is ongoing. For example, if somebody were to ask me, how do you spend your time? I'd say, I bees making videos.
I beat bees instead of I. This is like I.
Actually, it'd be like I's bees making. Sometimes they might even go I's be making. Oh, okay. Actually, it's interchangeable. Sometimes I be's making videos, or I's being, or it could be reversed and move the S to the I, and it's I's be making videos. So that for this one, that S can be, depending on the whim of the speaker. This S could either be here or it could be over here with the I. So it could be IB's making videos or I's be making. It's honestly probably more frequent to be saying I's be doing something, or I's be over here. That's more frequent than saying B's.
Be making videos instead of I am making videos. Instead of I'm making videos, I be making videos, but it's I be's making videos. Like, I kind of, given enough time, could probably understand what they're saying, but it is quite different.
And there's really no easy way to describe that the same way in standard English.
I cannot believe some of these rules about the Newfoundland dialect. These are so much more drastic than I thought they would be. This is so fascinating.
I could say I make videos in that example, but another example is if I were sick and I said I'd be coughing and sniffling. And that would more closely translate to I've been coughing and sniffling. So there are ways to translate it into standard English.
Or more commonly, it's like I'd be sick as a dog, my son. Oh, my son, I was just throwing up all morning.
I mean, I like it. I be's coughing and sniffing. It's satisfying to say.
But really, they're just approximations, just like translating from a different language. In addition to being related to dialects from the British Isles, Newfoundland English also shares similarities to southern U.S. dialects.
There you go! That's why
Question on that one.
Subconsciously I've been making all these comparisons.
I think the only reason why why this person's talking about that it shares similarities with like the Deep South is, quite frankly, the hillbillyish accent or aspect, not accent. It's the hillbilly aspect, because let's be real. If you hear a bayman talking, it's not a southern drawl. It's not a southern drawl like Newfoundland. Pardon me, Newfoundlanders don't have southern drawl. But when you that type of language, that type of accent, that type of verbiage makes you think hillbilly. Like, I've heard Southerners, I've heard people that have deep Southern accents. Obviously, I've heard the bayman, and it elicits that same thought process of they sound hillbilly. Like, the way that they talk is very hillbilly-esque sounding. That would be the only similarity that I could see between Newfoundlanders and Southerners.
To Newfoundland English and Southern American English, there's a lot of parallels here, and it's even in this video.
For example, in the South, you'll often hear people use the phrase right quick to mean very quickly. Newfoundland English uses the word right very similarly. Here it's used as a general synonym of very or really, applicable to any situation.
Right, okay.
Newfoundland English is also...
I just said it. Right.
Been compared a lot to African American vernacular English, or Ebonics, which uses the same verb form bees, except they drop the S. Some communities in Newfoundland also conjugate to do to do's.
Yeah, I feel like I be, you be doing that. Like, it almost reminds me of like a Jamaican accent or something.
Just like the title of this JB Smoove special. And just like Newfoundland English, Ebonics is oftentimes looked down upon for not being proper. People just not knowing how to speak English.
Yeah.
But
I think that is, I just think that's ludicrous. It's silly.
It's not ludicrous or silly. It's understandable. And again, this is where pattern recognition comes into play. people, because again, back to the whole thing of stereotypes do exist for a reason. And this is where, in terms of accent, dialect, language, and so on, is where stereotypes come from, is because the people that typically have these accents, have these dialects, have these verbiages, from a typical point of view, are, they exemplify the stereotype, both in attitude, demeanor, intellect, etc., etc. And it's again, there are outliers, of course. In every culture, there are outliers where they do not fall into. They may sound the same, but they don't fall into the same trope, at least from an intellectual standpoint. But it is what it is. This is, humans do have a superpower. It's called pattern recognition. People recognize patterns for a reason. It's a matter of survival. And now in the current sociological standpoint, it's like translated into social survivability. So that's basically it.
It's like, oh, you're not speaking proper. Like, okay, it's literally like a whole dialect, a whole culture of people speak that way. Who are you to come in and be like, that's not how you say that. That's not right. That sounds silly. Like, no, you're silly. You're being silly. You be silly. Is that how a Newfoundlander? Is that how?
No, my son, is he saying you're fine? No, the proper thing is you're being stunted, my son. Don't be getting all pisen with me now. That's how you would say it as a Newfoundlander. Being silly or being stupid, you're saying you're stunted. That's a Newfoundland thing. So if you guys want to learn something Newfoundland, want to learn some Newfoundlandese, if someone's being an idiot, if someone's being stupid, just say, quit being stunted, my son. There you go.
A Newfoundlander would say it, you be silly, you bees silly. And they'd be like, oh, got me.
Dialects like these aren't wrong. They're just as right as any other dialect, no matter how standardized or non-standardized they are.
Basically, if you're going to say someone's stunted, it means they're an idiot. Like, my son, you are so stunted. You're an idiot.
Dialect facilitates communication.
Yeah.
It's right. Dictionaries don't define English. English defines dictionaries.
Yeah, right. Wow. Is that the end?
That's the end.
What's going on here? Okay, I think that's the end. Okay. Yep, there you have it. Wow, Newfoundland English Explained. That was fantastic. I'm so glad I found a video on this exact subject. It was fantastic. This was by Brain Sale, and I liked that a lot. That did a great explanation of the history of how this occurred, this phenomenon. Newfoundland.
I'm still upset that the video didn't say it stemmed from Irish and just said the British Isles.
That exists in Canada. The history and a lot of examples. I'm very happy with how many examples he was trying to give of actual, unique words and phrases and sentence structures people from Newfoundland use on a daily basis. That was so interesting. And again, I just got to reemphasize, this came out of nowhere for me. I was like, okay, Canada, yeah, different regions of Canada talk a little different from
and
each other.
And he's only gotten a
provinces,
very small sample size, too. Like, microscopic sample size.
Then Newfoundland just pops out of nowhere. It's like, hey, listen to this. And it's like, whoa, that's awesome. That is such a cool thing. The diversity of speech and just the diversity of ideas and cultures within Canada is so fun to learn about and so cool that exists. So I enjoyed this a lot, I have to say. Anyway, if you enjoyed this as well, feel free to give this video a like or leave a comment. And if you're interested in more videos like this, me reacting to Canada and Canadian culture, stuff about Canada I've never learned or seen before, feel free to subscribe for more. And until then, thanks for watching, and see you next time.
He only received a sample size of what Newfoundlanders sound like. And if he actually, I would love to see his reaction to hearing a full Bayman conversation. Because that is like, for people that have never heard it before, that is an experience to hear that. It really is. Like, it's like you guys also got a sample size of it, but it was done for comedic purposes. Like, to actually, let me see if I can find something. Let's see. Let's see if I can find something. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Here we go. All right. Granted, this is much older, so this guy is pure Bayman. Okay, you can tell by the way he looks. This guy is pure freaking Bay. All right, it just like, listen to him talking.
My grandfather come from the county of Mayo. He settled here in 1842 from the county of Mayo in Ireland. Jim Murphy.
Can you remember him?
No, never saw him. My father died, he was 72. He died in 1942.
There's really an Irish part of Newfoundland, isn't it?
Well, there was 4 of us. There was 2 brothers besides myself and my stepbrother. The Monday morning, my father would give you the work to do for the day, right from Monday till Saturday. You mightn't like to do it, but you were going doing it. And if you hadn't have done when you were eating your supper, he'd want to find out the reason why you didn't do it. So I appreciate him for that.
He was pretty strict, but it helped you out, eh?
Yeah, when I went working for myself, I could do a day's work. I appreciate him for that today.
You got your pension last year and you haven't stopped very much at all.
No, I'm not going to stop until I...
That's told my son.
I'll have to stop.
Yeah. It's a pretty good place to live here in the Cape Shore, isn't it?
It's the best kind of a place to live. There's a lot, like I told you, there's a lot of meals you can put on the table won't cost you any money.
Yeah.
Like growing a vegetable, a bit of fish.
And from the sound of it, you got some cattle here too.
I have some cattle.
Yeah.
Always kills one every fall. I had pigs. I'm after having 23 pigs.
And you don't burn much oil either. You cut all your own wood.
I cut burns no oil, none at all.
Tell me what.
That one thing you're noticing, Bay Newfoundlanders add S's to the ends of a lot of words. You'll notice that in this, like throwing S's on, to every other word. That's another very distinctively Newfoundland thing, is to basically add an S to a lot.
What was like now years ago here? You're not that old yourself, I know, but I suppose you can remember the 30s.
Get up at 12 o'clock when the capel and become an in. The vast majority of people had dowries. Come home at 4 o'clock, you wouldn't have very much to eat. Catch the handle of a plough and plough till 9 o'clock in the night. And if you hadn't a plough, you'd be using a gruff.
So it was hard to make a living then, wasn't it?
Yes, well, that's the only thing the people survived on that time. There was plenty of cattle here, all kinds of cattle, all kinds of sheep. That's...
Yeah, so like that, and bear in mind, the Bay accent has lightened up a little bit, because this was filmed, I think, back in this looked like it was probably filmed back in the 70s. And the Bay accent has become less thick than what he was, but not by too much. So yeah, you'll hear Newfoundlanders will add S's to a lot of words. They'll I mean, you heard it. It hasn't changed overly much from then, from back then. Down the, out with the Bayman. It has lightened up a little bit, though. A little bit.